Hello viewers, this is Wolf here. Welcome to Wolf's Haven and to another Monster Hunter figure review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Capcom figure builder creators model Malzeno. Now with Malzeno being introduced as the new flagship monster to Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, and of course adding to that ever-expanding list of cool Elder Dragons in the series, and for good reason, Malzeno is pretty damn cool, it's good to see that Capcom was very quick on the draw to provide a scale model of Malzeno. Especially since Malzeno is a very elaborately designed monster, very vibrant, very colorful. It's going to be interesting to see how, within the Creators Model line, how they're able to reproduce Malzeno here with all that detail. Especially since this line is known for that, and of course this is also going to be one of the larger Creators Model monsters as well. So it's going to be a bigger scale, a lot more detail to cover here, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how this all comes together. So first things first, let's just take a look at the box here. Of course we have this design here with a portrait of the figure, of course, here on this side. If you look to the sides here, we just have more portraits of Malzeno here looking pretty cool. And then on the back here, it's going to show like a few things that come included, some of the features. It seems like this model comes with some stands, which it seems like you might need to prop up the wings. The wings do look pretty large on this figure, so I'm assuming that maybe those wings get weighed down a little bit. So I guess we'll see as we open this thing up. The figure is in here on this side, but we're actually going to open this up and then take a look at it. So here we go. So this is everything that comes included with this model here. So you can see obviously we have our Malzeno statue here, and then it also comes included with these two stands. We have one shorter stand here and then a longer stand. Now I actually have a little bit of a problem with this, with these stands not necessarily fitting, but I'll touch on that a little bit later into the video. So before that, I want to actually take a look at the statue. And yeah, just talk about the detail on this, because this statue looks magnificent. So just panning around this, you can just see this statue is very colorful and it looks very beautiful. Like honestly, I think this is probably one of the best looking designed dragons in the entire Monster Hunter series. They did a really good job with Malzeno here. And of course, in this figure builder line here, the creators model, they did a really good job reproducing this as well. There's so much good detail on a lot of these colors, and some things that are kind of hidden that you wouldn't really notice at first glance. But just taking a quick look at Malzeno, let's do a little bit of a close-up onto the face. So you can see that there is a lot of detail on the face here. Like, first of all, for starters, I really love this color combination, where the main body has this nice gray, but then it's accented by a lot of these gold parts around the body. So you can kind of see a lot of these golds that are coming off from these spikes on the side of the face, coming up onto these two horns. You can kind of see there's a bit of segments there where like the gray kind of separates from the gold there, looking really good. I kind of like how the horn points up like that as well. Malzeno's face looks almost like a skull as well, which is kind of cool. I think with it being colored gray, that kind of adds to that effect. And it does kind of allow the red eyes to pop a little bit. It's still kind of hard to see them in there because they're very small, and it is a black background in there, but you can definitely make out the red eye. It does have some decent fair amount of detail in there as well. But going to the back of the head, I love these little parts of the skin that kind of stick out from the back of the head here, transitioning from those bony grays into this beautiful like pink close to the tips of the spikes here, and then finally ending in those golden tips there, really contrasting that purple or that pink really nicely with the gold there. It looks really beautiful. And then of course, looking down to Malzeno's neck, we of course have this pink fur, I think it is, draping all the way down the chest, basically covering the entire front section of Malzeno, which looks really good. But the other thing that's kind of cool is there's a little bit of a hidden detail just underneath that chest fur, you can kind of see that the underbody of Malzeno has a bit of a black color, so it's a little bit different from the grays on the top part of the body. But we have these golden lines, these golden stripes here just underneath the body, almost kind of like a zebra stripe, but in gold. So that's actually really cool. A really cool detail there that kind of offsets the black underneath the body. And it goes along with the blacks that are close to the claws, looking really good as well, too. Of course, on the claws, we have more of like this pink fur kind of sticking off the sides there. These gold claws accenting the grays of the legs look really good. They're very pronounced, and yeah, you notice them right away. They look really good here. The other thing too is that I love the wings. Yeah, I have nothing bad to say about the wings. They look absolutely beautiful and vibrant here. There's so many different shades of pink and purple in here, going all the way through the inside of the membrane of the wing here, looking very beautiful. And you can kind of see that there's some slight gray coloration going down the little, these little in-between sections of the wing here as well. And of course, like where it kind of attaches here to the main body, we have more of that gray, and then it comes out into a very large gold spike right up here. Looks really good. Texture-wise is also nice too, because you can see there's quite a few divots in here and a lot of grooves to kind of show that there's a bit of like distress there. If we look to the back of Malzeno, the back is also just as nicely detailed as the front is. So you can see, like, starting from the head, we can kind of see, like, right from behind the horns, we're going to have that gray color that goes all the way down the back of the body, but every so often we're going to see these gold spikes. They're almost like hooks coming down the back of the head right here, which looks kind of cool. So we have these hooks coming down, and then eventually they kind of fade into these gold colorations down here, down the middle, and then also on the sides of the back here. Going all the way down to the tail. I kind of like how we have this little wing effect here, just at the this portion, like, of the midsection of the tail here. Transitioning into a bit of a black here on the very ends of the wings, but then going to the very end of the tail. The tail's design is very unique as well, too. So, of course, we lose a lot of that gray, and then we go into this beautiful black and gold aesthetic here, which looks really good. The paintwork, especially the texturing, looks really good here. You can kind of see that the gold and the blacks are kind of distressed. The gold is kind of fading away out here. And there's a little bit of bronze in here as well, kind of offsetting the golds and the blacks here as well, adding that third color, which looks really good. But of course, yeah, we have this little triple spike right here at the very end of the tail. And this looks really good. I love how this is designed. The grooves, how they kind of come down, spike out, and then spike, and then kind of like come out to a point at the very end there. And we of course have, you know, your little divots and grooves right in the spike as well. There's a bit of scale work just at the base of the spikes as well, too, that look really good. Malzeno's legs, like the back legs, look really good too. Like, they're very skinny, but also very muscular looking as well. You get a lot of those gray scales, a bit more of like that black color here, and of course with the golden claws there at the very bottom. We have these little gold spikes on the heel of the foot here, which look good, and then kind of like golden plated armor right here, just about where the knee is. You can kind of see that Malzeno's side right under here, just underneath the wing. It might be a little bit hard to see, but the side is kind of lined with gold as well too. So yeah, it looks really beautiful. Overall, this statue looks incredible. I know I've said that multiple times, but I do genuinely think that this is one of the best looking design monsters in the series so far. Like, it's very beautiful. Like, it's a very unique color palette, and they did a really good job recreating this in this figure builder line as well. So the other thing that I really like about this too is the pose, for two reasons. One, I like the fact that they have Malzeno propped up on the top of, I believe this is supposed to be like a piece of the castle. So that looks really cool. It's kind of like Malzeno standing at the very edge, and it's looking down on his prey. But the other thing that I like about this pose is the fact that you can actually you can actually pose this in a variety of different ways and get a pretty good effect out of it. So I think typically most people are going to pose their Malzeno sort of like this, with the front section being exposed. You can see that Malzeno's face is kind of looking that way. So you can do this, which exposes the inner pinks of the wing here, which this looks good. But the other thing that I like about it is that you can actually effectively pose Malzeno this way as well, mainly because of how Malzeno's head is contorted. It kind of looks like, in this pose, Malzeno's kind of looking backwards as well. So you can kind of have the wing kind of angled out like this, and it's almost like Malzeno's kind of looking back at its target or something like that. So you can definitely pose it like that as well. So here's a size comparison here with Malzeno, and you can clearly tell that this is on the larger side for the creator's model figures. So Malzeno here stacks up to about 1.5 of these cans here, and for a more precise measurement, Malzeno is actually a little over 9 inches tall. I think it's close to about 9.5 inches. And when it comes to the wingspan, if you measure it from like right here, the wingspan is actually about like 14 inches. So a lot of that size has to do with the wingspan, not necessarily Malzeno's height, but you can definitely tell that this is going to take up quite a bit of space in the display area. Those wings are definitely going to command a lot of room. So especially with how this wing in particular is designed, because this wing is more coiled in, so I wouldn't really worry too much about this. It's mainly this one, depending on how you display it. If you're going to curve it this way and kind of get the wing away from the sides, or have it like this and maybe have something posed in front of it. But these wings are definitely going to take up quite a bit of space here. And just for reference, I like to compare things to my Velkhana, my creator's model Velkhana, and you can just see right here, my Velkhana is about, well, with the wings, it comes up to about 1.5 cans as well, but you can just see that overall, the size of this thing just doesn't really compare to Malzeno. Malzeno's wings are much larger, and really only Velkhana's wingtips comes up to about the top of Malzeno's head. So this new model in particular definitely dwarfs this line of the creator's models, these smaller figures. So yeah, this is definitely what you're gonna get with the size here with Malzeno. So now onto the parts that I'm not a big fan of. So like I mentioned before, this model actually comes with these two stands as additional pieces. And the whole idea of this is to prop up the wings. The only issue I have with this is that these stands don't really seem to do that. So just going off of what the box details, they want you to use this tall stand here to actually prop up this this raised up wing. And they want you to put it somewhere about here, right? So the problem is if you do that, now what ends up happening is that Malzeno, the statue, like the stand ends up, you know, tilted upward, right? Which ends up looking kind of weird, and it's kind of wobbly now. So that's just kind of weird. There's not really any other spot that you can put this where it would make sense. And then if you take a look at the smaller stand, so this one is designed to fit underneath this wing here, but you can already see the problem. This stand is way taller than this wing, right? So there's just no way you can use this. So the box highlights that you should be able to put this stand underneath here, but again, you run into the exact same problem. You can see that right here, the base is lifted up even more now, right? And then of course, if you put down, or if you apply both of the stands together, the whole setup is going to look very strange, because the whole statue now, the base and everything, is just completely tilted upward. So I don't know if that is an issue in particular with my Malzeno. It'll be curious to see if anybody else who got this figure has run into the same problem. But I don't imagine that this is actually a defect, because just the way that this was packaged, it seems to come in a very specific way. So I don't know, maybe this was just some sort of oversight, but these stands don't really seem to do anything, really. Like, it just kind of poses this in a very awkward position. And like the other purpose that I can see that these stands being for is that Maybe it's supposed to help prevent the wings from drooping down over time. But honestly, I feel like the wings would be fine, because the wings aren't very heavy from what it seems, especially on closer inspection. And the wings seem to be very solid. It doesn't really seem like there's going to be any movement or anything dropping down over time. So I feel like this should be fine anyway without the stands. So yeah, I just found that this was kind of a weird addition because yeah, it just doesn't really seem to work. But let me know if anybody has this and if their wings came posed a little bit differently and they were actually able to use the stands. Maybe there is an issue with mine. I'm not really too sure, but these I know that for me that these two stands are not really useful for me here. So that's the one downside that I have with this. So that pretty much covers everything I wanted to talk about in regards to this Malzeno statue. If I were to just go on to my final thoughts real quick, overall, I think that this statue is absolutely magnificent. I think that for any fans of Malzeno, Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, if you guys were ever curious about looking into the statue, possibly picking it up, I think that this is a very solid buy. I think that you definitely won't be disappointed with this because everything here is just captured very faithfully, very beautifully, the way that it is in the game. The scale here is just right for Malzeno, capturing the largeness of the wings, and on top of that, the colors. Like, all of those pinks, those purples around the body are just very vibrant, especially with the gold accents around all of those various parts, like the claws and the horns and the lining down the back of the body, even the end of the tail. All of that stuff just looks so beautiful. You even get a little bit of a shimmer from some of those golds because of how bright they are. Yeah, this is a very solid figure. It looks great. I think the size is right, and like I said before, the pose is great because you can pose this multiple different ways. Unlike some of the other Monster Hunter figures, typically they're designed to be posed one way, where they're supposed to be looking directly at you. I feel like you can definitely get away with posing Malzeno in a variety of different ways, either from the front side or even the back side. So I think that's kind of a plus. It gives you a little bit more flexibility in how you want to set this up in your display area. Which, you know, would allow you to free up some space, considering this is a larger figure, like I mentioned before, and the wings are going to take up quite a bit of space. The only downside, like I mentioned, was the additional pieces, at least with mine, didn't seem to serve any real purpose, so they're just kind of there. It's nothing that necessarily takes away from the statue, because they are just, like, accessories, just auxiliary parts, so it's not really a big deal. But, yeah, I just find it kind of weird that it was, that they were thrown in there. But outside of that, everything else on this is just perfect. Like, there's so much detail here, especially on Malzeno's head, and everything just comes together and coalesces into a very beautiful package. Like I said before, any fans of Malzeno will not be disappointed with this statue here. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys found it informative. If you have any questions about this Malzeno or any other Monster Hunter figures, whether it be plushies or from the Monster Hunter Creators Model line, don't hesitate to ask me anything. If you want to know about you know, like the sizes, pricing, or any of the detailing from these various figures, I'm definitely willing to answer. But yeah, until then, there'll definitely be more Monster Hunter figures coming in the future, so I hope you stay tuned for that. But until then, I hope you all have a good day or good night, depending on where you are, and I will see you all later.